What if I told you that some of heavy metal's biggest legends, with millions in the bank, actually live like they're broke? No flashy cars, no giant mansions, and no over-the-top rock star lifestyles. Instead, they keep things shockingly simple, sometimes even downright frugal. From global icons still driving old beat-up cars to chart-topping stars who'd rather shop at thrift stores than designer boutiques, these musicians prove that wealth doesn't always mean wild spending. You're about to see a side of heavy metal you never expected, because these 14 stars live like they are poor. 14. James Hetfield, Metallica. Despite being the frontman of one of the most successful metal bands ever, James Hetfield lives a surprisingly modest lifestyle. Instead of settling in a Hollywood mansion surrounded by chaos, he chose a quiet life in Colorado before moving back to California. He's often seen in everyday clothes, working on his cars, or doing ranch chores rather than flaunting riches. Hetfield's focus has always been family and simplicity, not excess. For someone who could easily buy fleets of sports cars or luxury homes, his life looks more like that of a regular working-class dad. He prefers hunting, fishing, and woodworking over jet-setting around the globe. Fans are often stunned when they realize how down-to-earth he really is. With Metallica's fortune, Hetfield could easily live like royalty, yet he chooses a life that feels far removed from rock star glamour. In many ways, James proves that wealth doesn't always equal extravagance. 13. Kerry King, Slayer. Kerry King is known for his brutal riffs and stage presence, but offstage, his life isn't nearly as extravagant as you might imagine. While Slayer became one of the most legendary thrash metal bands of all time, King has kept his lifestyle relatively grounded. Instead of splashing cash on luxury mansions and designer brands, he invests his time in raising snakes, caring for reptiles, and living quietly. His love for animals often overshadows any image of a lavish rock star existence. Unlike many metal musicians who leaned into excess, King has always seemed more practical with money. Fans who visit him are often surprised by how normal his surroundings feel. Even with millions in the bank, he doesn't flaunt his success the way many celebrities do. For a man who helped create some of the heaviest music in history, his personal life reflects simplicity, hobbies, and restraint, making him a star who lives like he's poor. 12. Geezer Butler, Black Sabbath. Geezer Butler, the legendary bassist of Black Sabbath, could have easily lived the life of a king after shaping heavy metal's foundation. Yet Butler is known for his quiet, unpretentious lifestyle. Instead of surrounding himself with glitz and glam, he focuses on his passions, writing, reading, and spending time at home. Over the years, fans have noticed he doesn't carry himself like someone obsessed with wealth or appearances. Geezer has always been more philosophical, and that shows in how he lives. He never chased fame in the same way others did, nor did he spend wildly just to prove a point. Even though Sabbath made millions, Geezer prefers comfort over excess. He's the kind of rock star you might catch in a modest cafe, blending in with the crowd rather than standing out. For someone who could have easily lived the ultimate celebrity lifestyle, Geezer Butler chose humility and modesty instead. 11. Dave Mustaine, Megadeth. Dave Mustaine's journey through heavy metal has been filled with ups and downs, yet his lifestyle has always leaned toward the modest side. While Megadeth has sold millions of records and made Mustaine wealthy, he doesn't live like the stereotypical rock god drowning in riches. Fans often see him dressed simply, working on his ranch, or spending quiet time with his family. His homes and properties are more functional than flashy, and his focus seems to be on maintaining stability rather than showing off. Having faced hardships early in his career, Mustaine learned the value of being careful with money and living within reason. Instead of flashy cars or luxury brands, he values personal peace and health. His financial success is undeniable, but the way he lives doesn't scream excess. For all his fame and fortune, Dave Mustaine's day-to-day life looks more like an ordinary man's, practical, reserved, and surprisingly humble. 10. Lemmy Kilmister, Motorhead. Lemmy Kilmister was a legend of rock and roll excess on stage, but in his personal life, he lived shockingly simply. Despite Motorhead's global success, Lemmy spent decades living in the same modest apartment in Los Angeles, just a short walk away from his favorite bar, the Rainbow. He never bought a mansion, never indulged in the kind of flashy wealth other stars flaunted. His room was famously cluttered with memorabilia, posters, and war collectibles rather than gold-plated luxuries. Lemmy spent his time playing video games, drinking at the bar, and enjoying everyday pleasures rather than surrounding himself with extravagance. Fans who visited his home often described it as ordinary, even shabby, compared to what you'd expect from a metal icon. While he lived out loud on stage, his real life was closer to that of a regular working-class guy. Lemmy proved that even legends can choose simplicity over wealth. 9. Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden. Bruce Dickinson isn't just Iron Maiden's frontman, he's also a licensed pilot, author, and entrepreneur. But when it comes to his lifestyle, he doesn't flaunt riches. Unlike many rock stars who show off mansions or endless luxury, Dickinson lives in a way that feels grounded. He spends much of his time flying planes, studying history, and teaching rather than indulging in excess. Even when Iron Maiden became one of the biggest bands on earth, Bruce preferred focusing on meaningful work and creative projects instead of living like royalty. He's known for being approachable and down to earth, often dressing simply and avoiding the stereotypical rock star look. While he could easily live surrounded by luxury, Dickinson chose a path of discipline, learning, and modest living. His focus on flying and writing highlights how little he cares about extravagance. For someone of his stature, his lifestyle is surprisingly ordinary, making him another star who lives like he's poor. 8. Tom Araya, Slayer. Tom Araya, the bassist and vocalist of Slayer, never cared much for the flashy rock star lifestyle. Even during Slayer's peak, he chose to live far more simply than most of his peers. Instead of buying massive properties in Beverly Hills or filling garages with luxury cars, Araya invested in a quiet ranch life. He often preferred spending time with his family and tending to animals over chasing the limelight. His offstage demeanor has always been calm and humble, a sharp contrast to the chaos of Slayer's music. Fans who meet him are often surprised by how approachable he is, describing him as more of a neighborly dad than a world-famous metal icon. While his bandmates pushed boundaries on stage, Tom preferred the peace of rural living. His choice to step away from extravagance shows that, for him, family and simplicity mattered more than money. 7. Tony Iommi, Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi, the guitarist who shaped heavy metal itself, could have lived a life of pure indulgence. Yet despite his fame and fortune, he's always been known for keeping things modest. Iommi's focus has been on music, family, and health, rather than splurging on material things. Even after Black Sabbath's worldwide success, he chose to live in comfortable but understated homes, far from the glitzy lifestyles of other rock legends. He doesn't surround himself with unnecessary luxury, preferring stability and familiarity. His down-to-earth nature makes him one of the most approachable figures in the industry. While fans see him as a god of riffs, his personal life tells a different story, one of simplicity and grounded living. With everything he accomplished, Tony Iommi had every reason to chase extravagance, yet he always seemed content with less. For someone who changed music forever, his lifestyle remains surprisingly modest. 6. Scott Ian, Anthrax. Scott Ian, rhythm guitarist for Anthrax, is another heavy metal star who doesn't splash his fortune around. Despite being part of one of the big four thrash bands, Ian's life isn't built on luxury excess. He's often described as grounded and practical, choosing comfort and family over lavish spending. Instead of flaunting his success with flashy clothes or massive estates, Scott focuses on his work, his hobbies, and raising his family. He has never bought into the image of a rock star who needs constant attention or material validation. Fans who follow him see more of a regular guy who happens to play in one of metal's biggest bands. His lifestyle is more about balance and authenticity than extravagance. For a man who's been touring for decades, his world looks surprisingly normal. Ian proves that even thrash icons can choose a humble, almost ordinary way of life. 5. Rob Halford, Judas Priest. Rob Halford, the iconic frontman of Judas Priest, is known for his powerful voice and commanding stage presence. But when the lights go down, Halford isn't living in outrageous luxury. Despite his legendary status, he prefers a quiet, simple lifestyle. Instead of flaunting his wealth, he spends time writing, relaxing at home, and connecting with fans. Halford has been open about his appreciation for privacy and peace, choosing to live far away from wild extravagance. While many might expect him to indulge in excess after decades of success, his real life reflects modesty. He values authenticity and personal happiness more than flashy cars or huge mansions. Fans who meet him are often surprised by his humble and kind demeanor. For someone who fronted one of the most influential metal bands in history, Halford lives more like an ordinary man, comfortable, reserved, and far from the stereotypical rock star excess. 4. Lars Ulrich, Metallica. Lars Ulrich may be one of the richest drummers in music history, yet he's often seen living with surprising simplicity. While Metallica's fortune could easily support over-the-top extravagance, Ulrich's lifestyle is relatively modest. He has invested in art and property over the years, but he doesn't flaunt endless luxury or a stereotypical celebrity lifestyle. He's more often spotted in casual clothes, spending time with family, and living quietly compared to many of his peers. Despite being worth millions, Lars avoids constant displays of wealth. His public appearances are usually understated, showing a man more focused on music and personal life than flaunting riches. Fans expect one of the world's biggest drummers to live like a king, but his life proves otherwise. Even with decades of massive success, Ulrich remains surprisingly grounded, choosing to live with restraint rather than drowning in extravagance. 3. Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne may be the Prince of Darkness, but his day-to-day lifestyle is often shockingly ordinary. While his career has brought him enormous wealth, Ozzy isn't the kind of star who chases flashy cars, high fashion, or golden mansions. His long battle with health issues and personal struggles has pushed him toward valuing family, comfort, and stability over excess. Fans who expect him to live like a rock god often find that Ozzy's actual life is far quieter than they imagined. Much of his money goes into maintaining his health and taking care of his loved ones, rather than building a kingdom of extravagance. Despite being one of the most recognizable names in metal, his lifestyle feels closer to modest than outrageous. For all his chaos on stage, Ozzy's private life is more about simplicity than splendor. He shows that even legends can live humbly. 2. Cliff Burton, Metallica. Before his tragic death, Cliff Burton lived like a true working-class musician, despite being in one of the biggest metal bands. He was never interested in riches or material wealth. Cliff cared more about music, creativity, and enjoying life than about money. Even when Metallica started rising, he maintained the same modest approach to living, wearing casual clothes, spending time with friends, and not indulging in excess. His down-to-earth personality made him beloved not just as a bassist, but as a person. Burton could have easily embraced the wild rock star lifestyle, but he never cared for it. His focus was always on staying true to himself. To this day, fans remember him as one of the most genuine musicians in metal, a man who didn't let fame or money change him. Cliff's modest lifestyle stands as proof that not every rock legend needs wealth to define them. 1. Ronnie James Dio. Ronnie James Dio, one of heavy metal's greatest voices, lived his life with surprising modesty. Despite fronting legendary bands like Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and his own Dio, he never chased an extravagant lifestyle. Dio was known for his humility and kindness, often more focused on connecting with fans than building personal wealth. While he could have lived in luxury, his homes were comfortable rather than excessive, and his everyday life reflected normalcy. He dressed simply off stage, enjoyed quiet hobbies, and didn't indulge in constant displays of fortune. For someone who contributed so much to heavy metal, Dio's humble lifestyle became part of his charm. He lived more like an ordinary man than a rock god, even though his voice and presence were larger than life. His simplicity and grounded way of living proved that true greatness doesn't need to be wrapped in wealth. They ruled the stage with fire, thunder, and riffs that shook the world, yet behind the spotlight, their lives looked surprisingly simple. These heavy metal icons prove that money doesn't always change who you are. Sometimes even legends choose modesty over mansions. But here's the question: if stars with millions can live like they're broke, what does that say about the true meaning of success? If you loved uncovering these hidden sides of metal's greatest names, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the stories that pull back the curtain on fame. Because the next countdown might just reveal secrets you'd never expect.